Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Douglas. I have the honor to join you from Ottawa, which is the unceded and traditional land of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. I joined the Canadian Armed Forces in 1986. I wanted to be a police officer. So after graduating from university, I signed up right away. And this was in the time when the military was excited to encourage women to join the Canadian Armed Forces. Even though I was a pretty mediocre student all along, I actually had a lot of success when I joined the military. I think it was all of the discipline and the requirement to be very focused. So I went in as a fit person and started to excel right away. I graduated as the top officer cadet in my officer's training course in Chilliwack, and then went on to do language training. And also then I was the top graduate in my military police officers training course. So I received my commission as a second lieutenant. And things were going really well at that time, including the fact that I also really fallen in love for the first time with a fellow officer, and she was very special. Now, to honor my progress within the military police branch, I was posted to a unit known as the Special Investigations Unit that was mandated to look at the most serious crimes and also allegations of homosexuality. So at that point, I started to be investigated by my own branch, was subjected to very intense interrogations in hotel rooms multiple times over many days. I was subjected to a lie detector test. And while attached to a polygraph exam or a lie detector test, I put up my hands and said, I won't deny this anymore. And I told them that, yes, I'm gay. Well, despite how I had done, being such a top candidate, it didn't matter. I was released honorably in 1989 after just about 3 years of service under the military's policy that wrote these words on my release documents: not advantageously employable due to homosexuality. What I didn't know then, but came to know later, was that I was part of a much bigger system known as the LGBT Purge, where thousands, we think up to 9,000 or more people between the 1950s and 1990s were fired on the basis of our sexual orientation. This turns out to be one of the longest running and largest scale violations of the human rights of any workforce in Canadian history, and hardly anyone knows about it. So I brought a lawsuit in 1992, and the Canadian Armed Forces settled with me at that time, so 30 years ago this year, and it formally ended their policy of discrimination. But what happened to all of those thousands of people, also including in the RCMP and federal public service? What happened to everyone? We went through this traumatic experience of being harassed, shamed, traumatized, sometimes arrested, institutionalized. Well, it broke a lot of people. And justice really happened for me in 1992 in my lawsuit. But what about the thousands of others? Finally, a lawsuit was brought that brought some measure of justice to all of these people, Purge survivors who had given freely their very best, their loyalty, their dedication and excellence as members of the armed forces, but they were turfed out, just thrown out. And I remember being in a fog for so many years and trying to collect myself, but people were broken by this experience. And it was only in the last several years that all of us have now been able to be considered veterans. And some of us are taking a slow journey back into the military family. Imagine that kind of rejection and shaming by your employer, by your country. often called disloyal to your country, and yet now being invited back in. We're taking those gentle steps, but Veterans Affairs Canada is finally helping us, reaching out, connecting us in ways that we've never been before, and getting us some of that treatment and support that we as veterans have earned. Personally, I went on to now do this work full time as the executive director of the LGBT Purge Fund, focusing on reconciliation efforts, education, and remembering what happened. If we don't remember what happened, it will be understated, not really understood as part of what really happened to LGBT soldiers and the Canadian Armed Forces. Then it gets denied, and then it's forgotten. It's my goal to remember this incredible group of loyal veterans, to honor them as I do tonight, to never forget them, and to tell these stories so that everyone knows what the real story is behind the LGBT purge. Thank you so much for hearing my story.